Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Starmourn. So today we're going to be talking about the lore for the races, and we'll simply, just like last video, we'll be on the website. We won't be going into the game. We're just going to be here and reading these articles. We're going to have to go pretty quick through all the player races. There are quite a lot of them, so we'll just get the main lore highlights of each, and that's about it. Okay, let's get started. So first up, we're going to take a look at the Amaians. The Amaians are a fishy race. Let's see, what should we read? Yes, let's read this little blurb. This is I guess, ethnographic blurb of some manner. File Amaians as clients, version 1.63. The main fixation on, some would say obsession with, the waters of their homeworld of Delphi are well known to the seasoned adventure agent. The young begin their life with it, and the elderly seek to end their lives in it. Such is its importance among the cultural rituals that all Amaian starships carry with them a stash of Delphin ocean water in order that newborns may be immediately baptized in it. And of course, at the end of their lives, the elderly or lethally ill are expected to go back to the waters in a ritual called the Last Inundation, in which they find a deep body of water to swim, and swim far enough down that they can't return to the surface before running out of air. There's a healthy industry, in fact, in one-way tours that take off-world Amaians back to Delphi, then by ancient sailing ship out to waters above the deepest point in their world's oceans. There, with great ceremony, those seeking to end their lives undergo the last inundation, where they say the waters are the most profound. When dealing with Amaian clients, it is advised that one keep this cultural preoccupation in mind, and steer them to locales with oceans or other substantial bodies of water. Although some among them profess fascination with forests, mountains, or deserts, we have found over the last 12 years of running off-world adventure tours that even the hardiest Amaian quickly becomes a very difficult client in those environments. So the Amaians, indeed a water race. They live in what's called a planet called Delphi, which is in the Song Dominion space. They have a rather long lifespan. Let's click away from this. And they mostly eat seafood and plants. A pescatarian, I suppose. That's pretty much it for the Amaians. Like I said, I need to go through these pretty quickly, but here's a picture of on Delphi. You can go visit this. This is the Cabal Tower. Basically, once you hit level 50, I believe, you can do a quest that will let you access the sort of underwater zone in Delphi, but first you need to do a quest in the deserts on Delphi. It's largely a water world as far as I understand it, but there's also deserts, and the level 50 bashing area is quite treacherous and is in the deserts on this planet. So let's move on to the next. The Decherans, or Decherans? I don't know. Where do you place the emphasis? Excerpted from a catalog of races of Starmourn sector. The Decherans are among the least understood races in central Starmourn. Unisexual and spawning new Decherans via budding rather than sex, they are nevertheless allied with the races of the Song Dominion. So the Decherans are the Groot race. Yeah, they are trees, and that's pretty much all you need to know about that. No, okay. They live on Sabiak, which is includes level 40 bashing area, the Green Wilds. Very good area. There are a lot of quests on Sabiac. There's a lot of opportunity to interact with Deterran lore for that reason. A lot of the Deterran NPCs on Sabiac are quest givers. So you can do lots of stuff and learn quite a bit about Deterran lore as a result. All Deterran, when you make a Deterran, you don't choose male, female, non-binary. You simply are genderless, and they live a heck of a long time under normal conditions. By the way, all player characters don't ignore lifespans completely, but that's another another thing. One thing I find interesting about them is this family blurb. So they don't have families or any concept of one. They do have what they do have are groups of Deterrans called groves. These are completely voluntary associations of Deterrans who bond with each other by rooting in a group together for a period of time, after which they are closely allied and can feel very vaguely feel the emotional state of other grove members. It is possible to voluntarily cut off your connection with a grove, but it's not possible to eject an individual unwillingly from a grove. So there's a lot of great potential with Deterran NPCs, or rather PCs, for role-playing, a tree. And a lot of players have done this to great effect. Especially, they're most common in the Song Dominion, but you can play, of course, a Deterran in any faction. Moving on, we have the Elgans. Yes, one of my favorite races to play. Again, another excerpt from the catalog of races. The Elgan are a race that had to fight against the fight to gain acceptance of other members of Starmourn sector due to a combination of their relatively small size and their tendency to deal with most situations by finding something amusing to laugh at. Make no mistake, however, they're as sophisticated and advanced a culture and society as most of the races in Starmourn. So, can we get a picture of an Elgan? Yes, here we are. Elgans are extremely short. Does it tell us how short they are? Don't believe so. Nevertheless, these people are incredibly miniature. And their homeworld of Biloxin, which is on Krell, is in Scatterhome space. As such, I would say most Elgin are in Scatterhome, though quite a few are factionless. Out of the player characters who play Elgans, there's also some Elgans who play regularly in the Song Dominion. Yes, there's also some in CA. So they're scattered all about. What to say about Elgans? They are a lot of Elgan players will play with a bit of a short man syndrome, which can lead to some interesting player dynamics. And other than that, Biloxin is a very corporate environment, and with a lot of gambling. And there's a great quest line on Biloxin where you can get what's called a trader's permit, and so there's a lot of opportunity to interact with Elgin lore that way. One thing of note for Elgin RP is the family structure here again. Big extended families that live together in a large, roughly circular building called Tohs, which often have spires on top. Many families will live in a single Tohs. So some Elgin PCs will be constantly talking about their Tohs, not the things on their feet. But yeah, one of my favorite classes to play, races rather, because I think they're I really like the lore behind these guys. Humans. I'm going to skip humans for now, and we're going to come back to it afterwards because there's a lot to talk about. Jinn. Jinn is a very popular race, I would say. They're a warrior race originally from outside the Starmourn sector, roughly quarterwards past the Ishvanos known territory. They have a strong cultural and genetic connection to death, and as people, they revere it. They spend their lives looking forward to death, and they believe that taking lives of their enemies in honorable combat consecrates their victims, which is effectively doing them a favor. The Jinn have purple skin, clawed fingers, and lack the protruding ears that define many humanoid races. In the center of their foreheads, they possess a third eye, which is called the Death Eye. This eye allows them to see some kind of shadow, for lack of a better word, of recent deaths in the area. This has no gameplay effect. Everybody in the game has death sight, so you can see when other players die. So here's a couple of pictures of Jinn, and you can see their death eye here. There's quite a bit of lore. Basically, the Jinn arrived in the Starmourn sector, I believe, after the destruction of their homeworld, though I cannot recall. And they are in what's called the Blood Arc. And the Blood Arc is a place you can go visit. Contains a level 40 bashing area, and again, a lot of quests that you can do and to interact with the Jinn there. And the Blood Arc, I forgot to mention in the last episode when I was doing my faction overview. It's basically attached to the Scatterhome asteroids, yeah, it's a giant ship that you can enter, and it has a bashing area. It has a bunch of quests, and yeah, there's not too much else to say about it at the moment. Let's quickly talk about this Mask of Tarath ritual. All the most important rituals revolve around death. In the Mask of Tarath ceremony, a recently dead relative's death eye is covered in a blanket woven for that purpose. The body is then placed in the capsule and ejected into space on a trajectory that would send it into a star. In certain cases, the deceased is esteemed so highly that a volunteer for their immediate family is selected to ride with them into the next life. There's also a funeral that takes place if you do a quest, and you can see what a Jinn funeral looks like. That's it for Jinn for now. Let's go on to the Krona. Oh, Krona, what do we do with you? Krona are brawny people, and more muscular than most races thanks to their higher than average gravity of their home planet, Kunarash 3. They have squat, sturdy bodies whose hand-like feet are attached to their bodies via legs that join the torso just below and forward of where their two arms do. They have very thick, durable hide that comes in a variety of shades of blues, grays, and greens, and both genders grow sharp tusks out of their jaws. So yes, as it mentions here, their capital is Kunarash 3, and the name of the city is Agog. And Agog is contains a level 30 bashing area. Although there aren't as many quests, unfortunately, here. I can only think of one or two. And yeah, what is there to say about the Krona? I mean, this picture is just so great. Why is this Starkith wielder? Why does he not have a blade? He's just so tough that he's gonna use punching, I guess. Can they kick? I don't know if they can kick. Do they just punch you 4 times? Unfortunately, there are not enough Krona players. There are at least 3 players, all who are interested in PvP, and they really ham this up, and it's hilarious. But I don't think there's any players who have really come in and explored some of the deeper aspects of Krona lore yet. So there's a lot of opportunity for that if one of you wants to make a Krona. Um, uh, Here we go. Fond of sex and physical contact, but of an untrusting and untrustworthy nature, it is rare to see a Krona in a long-term relationship. They'll hop from bed to bed without sticking around to make friends. Any tightly knit relationship that occurs usually happens because both parties have a great deal of respect for others' power or fame. A lot of this lore stuff is just like general tendencies. Obviously, if you want to play your character differently, just go right on ahead. Yeah, that's it. That's it for Krona for now. There need to be more Krona around. Nafel. Oh, and Krona, I forgot to mention, are in the Scatterhome space. Nafel. Nafel are a highly communalistic race whose members don't tend to place much importance on the needs of the individual. One of a handful of insectoid races known to us, they are ruled by a queen who exercises absolute authority over their territory. And their homeworld, Jerza, contains their capital city, Narisa Riz, which is in Celestine space. Now, if you want to play a bug, this is your go-to. There is some. There's one player who just role plays the use of his antennae so magnificently, and other Nathel are very animated in describing the sort of bug-like physical responses, responding as outward reflections of inner emotions and that kind of thing. And this is I think one of the highlights of playing NFL. Other than, of course, if you just want to be a bug, then this is perfect for you. I want to mention entertainment. For all their perceived energy and sometimes frantic nature, they prefer minimalist entertainment. They have a form of stage live entertainment that consists of rhythmic thrumming combined with something like very slow dancing that involves transitioning deliberately between static held poses that, when combined with thrumming, tells a symbolic story. They call these, translated into Galactic Standard, pattern plays. So we actually had a pattern play event featuring two player-written pattern plays, and they're both excellent quality. I just love the description of this in the lore, and there's a lot of potential for Nathel players to explore Nathel lore. Let's go on to the new Suiza. New Suiza. They are bird people. The New Suiza are a fierce, sexually aggressive race with perhaps the most difficult language among the core Starmourn species. This is a pretty lackluster description, if I'm going to be honest. Their capital city of Mir on Phyrexian is in Song Dominion space. What more can I say about this? I mean, yeah, you can read about their reproductive practices, but I'm not going to spend all this time reading about that here. They live in throngs where after the egg hatches, it is raised communally by others in the throng, which consists of multiple families unrelated by brood. Notable rituals. It's a monarchy. They have a monotheistic religion. To be honest, I don't know very much about New Suiza lore to be able to pick out the highlights from this. So what we're going to do is just read a random blurb. Let's do religion. They have a monotheistic religion called Ecanism. I've actually totally forgotten about this. I read this when I started playing, but I've never looked at it again. That worships a single god they call Eshenin, but it is by no means believed in by all Nusriza. It is a warrior protector god, and much of their race lost faith in it during the Bushraki Wars, when it became clear that Eshenin either wouldn't protect them, couldn't protect them, or didn't exist, and they joined the Song Dominion with several other races. Eshenism prohibited fraternization with other races until then, as well as the use of kith, both of which were restrictions large swaths of Nusrizan society were sick of and, under threat of wars, rejected to completely. This led to schism, Okay, yeah. So here's the capital of Mir. It's actually quite an interesting place to go visit because you sort of bounce around between these different sky domes, and it's a rather curious place to go visit. But yeah, if anyone knows a little bit more about Nusri's and lore than I do, that doesn't go beyond here, please leave your message in the comments if you think my achievement of Nusriza was lacking. Runari. Another one of my favorite races to play. They're a contentious tribal race whose culture is underpinned by a complex series of alliances between extended families. Of alliances. This is okay. Topography. Okay. Their capital city on Ostarity is Ostarity on the planet Hororion, which is in Song Dominion space. They are dinosaurs. They're lizards, pretty much. And if you want to play a lizard person, this is your go-to. I just simply love Runari. They have a very tribal culture, which is organized into like clans, I guess. They have a thing here. They live in three-tiered society: family, tribe, horde. Family is what it sounds like. Tribes are collections of interrelated families, and a horde is a collection of tribes allied together. There are a number of quests on Hororion, which contains Saxar Jungle, which is a level 40 bashing area, so you can go bash in it. There's really my favorite quest is in that jungle, so you're just gonna have to go find out what that is. Yeah, I want to read this. On the death of a horde leader, all tribes gathered for a multi-day bacchanalia called the Narangarel, followed by, did I read that right? Narangarel, yeah, sure, why not? Followed by a selection of a new horde tribe leader in a process called the Gamoran. Each of the tribes that wishes to contend for leadership puts forward a leader, and that leader assembles a group of 6 Runari from his or her tribe. These groups of 6 then face off in combat armed with ancient weapons to determine who will lead the horde. The prospective leaders themselves don't do battle. Why kill off some of the strongest leaders in the horde? Yeah, so other than what's written here, there was an important development in player RP, in an official RP event. There was some anti-human sensibilities that arose among a particular tribe called the Jaw, and this was put down in true Song Dominion fashion, forcefully, by imprisoning most of the Jaw family, although some Jaw still remain rampant in the sector. So in a way, the Runari have been kind of oppressed within the Song Dominion, but then not all Runari will necessarily agree with what the Jarl did. Nevertheless, there's a lot of great potential for conflict roleplay in if you are a Runari surrounding that incident. Nevertheless, Runari are a somewhat popular race to play, simply because there's a lot of great opportunity for emoting with a lizard body. Okay, now, We're finally made it to Shen, you guys. We finally made it to Shen. Yes. Yes. Okay. The best race. Shen are one of Starmourn's younger races in terms of the age of their civilization, though they're far from the eldest. Famous for their former connection with the believed extinct elder race of the Utanmir, today they are well known for their real estate and transportation interstellar corporations. I just love Shen so much. Oh my god. See, look, all you need to know about Shen is that they have jawline tentacles. Males have these horns, and females have these Corona. Coronas? Oh man, that name didn't age well. Yeah. I mean, what is there to say about Shen? Like, they're simply the best. They're okay. I need to focus. They're in Celestine space on the homeworld of Kovalar, which contains a level 20 bashing area. They are absolutely vegetarians in the lore. You can obviously play a meat-eating Shen if you want to. Common collected when sober, after a few cups of root wine or a spoon of fermented vu honey, though this veneer's frequently shattered. Man, Shen lore is weird, and we're going to find that out right now. And you can also experience this ritual too with a quest in game. On birth, it is traditional for the eldest living member, male or female, of the father's direct ancestry to perform the ritual of coadjuvation, in which the eldest of the paternal line consumes part of the placenta of the newborn, the only meat the Shen ever consume. This ceremony is meant to symbolically join the two families, as the eldest of one takes the body of the youngest of the other into him or her. They're great. I mean, what is there to say about that? Nothing. The Shen are great lovers of art, including elaborate soundscapes called aetherscapes that they listen to in specifically designed anechoic. I've never. Have I ever seen this word? I don't think I have. I mean, I've read this before. I don't think I registered it. Anyway, to non-Shen ears, their tuneless, chaotic noise, as is the case for even the Shen, if any echoes are permitted to pollute the incredibly subtle patterns in the sound. Aetherscapes are awesome. We had some player-made Aetherscapes a year and a half ago, which was a great event. Yeah, I'm just going to stop talking about the Shen because they're the best race, hands down, and there's nothing more to say about them. Tukov, another Celestine race. Mighty Tukov are a large, exceptionally hairy race that hail from a fairly cold planet and prefer cool temperatures. Their home planet, Utrion 3, has a climate ranging from the merely temperate at the equator to uninhabitably cold, even for the Tukov, towards the poles. I mean, Tukov are awesome if you want to play Yeti, I guess. I guess this is a Yeti race. Anyway, yeah. Another one of my favored races, I guess, to play. I have one Tukov character. There's a lot of unexplored opportunity for playing, a lot of unexplored lore among the player characters. More that could be done with bringing out Tukov lore, bringing it to the forefront. I will read entertainment. Tooth circles, or tooth, I guess, where everyone brings a tooth and plays together while consuming enormous quantities of Lapteth beer are popular. Hunting is another popular activity, and the Tukov have had to resort to releasing animals bred in captivity into the wild to later hunt, as they've done as they've done such an unfortunately effective job of depopulating the wildlife of their home planet. Because this isn't really considered particularly sporting, hunting safaris to alien planets teeming with wildlife, especially dangerous wildlife, are an especially popular vacation to take. And this is kind of how I play my Tukov, is that he just is a total hunter and gets such a thrill from the hunt and loves to drink beer and that kind of stuff. But you don't have to play your Tukov that way. It's totally up to you. All the race that applies to all the races. Like there's lore here, but you know there's diversity in among every single race, and you're free to play the character that you want to play on the race sort of that you choose. But it's good to keep in mind whether your character is like an average personality type for that race or not. It's good to have the lore in the back of your mind when you're developing your character concept. So we're going to go on to the last race, which is, well, actually we need to go back and do the humans, but the Wuhorn. Wuhorn are a race of winged bipeds with a bent for combat, and a strong respect for physical dominance. Though they lost the ability to fly long before achieving spaceflight, they can leap powerfully and use their wings to glide. I think I forgot to mention, I should have mentioned at the outset of the video, there are no mechanical effects whatsoever in any race. There's no gameplay effects. This is entirely an RP choice, and that's a great decision from the developers. It means you don't need to min max or anything. You don't need to choose the right race and class combo in order to get the most effective character. You can just choose whatever race you want, and that was the right call, I think. Bennu Wen is their homeworld. It's in CA, as I mentioned. Wuhorn also, I think, slightly underexplored in terms of the possible RP, although there are a lot of Wuhorn characters because, as it turns out, people want to play cats on wings, which is what they basically are. They are nevertheless, at least in the lore, highly militant culture, and we can perhaps read this little blurb here. In traditional Wuhorn culture, there is quite a bit of social mobility due to the right of challenge. This permits a Wuhorn who is within a certain level of another to issue a challenge to an unarmed fight to the death. If the higher status person wins, the loser is in disgrace, and his or her immediate family will suffer disgrace by proxy as well. This serves as a pretty big incentive to challenge only when you're pretty sure you can win. If the higher status person loses, only she suffers the social disgrace, not her immediate family. How convenient. Yeah, I think there's a lot of room to explore the lore of this class further. Okay, and now we are going to return to the humans. Okay, so I've left humans last because there's a lot to talk about. Basically, if you want to get the full story, you need to click here, Earth and the Free Fleet. So what happened here? Well, Cole's Notes version, there's a free fleet led by a Tukov commander, Messer Jewel, who were asked to go and kill these guys, the Darem. These were a brilliant but not a powerful race, and they had apparently planet-wide cloaking technology, so they developed the ability to cloak their entire planet. This didn't work in time, and instead they chose to open a one-way wormhole to escape the Free Fleet. The hope was they didn't know where they were going, and this was a last-ditch attempt to save their species. And so they opened a one-way wormhole, and lo and behold, it pointed directly to just beyond Earth's solar system, and as which is like super far from the Starmourn sector, and this was a fluke of quantum mechanics, we're told. And yes, the Darem made first contact with Earth, and Earth promptly declared martial law. There's this man named Torin Grayman, and the Darem let them know that the Free Fleet was coming for them, and that Earth would probably be destroyed. And the Darem convinced Earth that they should let them use their cloaking device on Earth and to connect Earth's power grid to the Darem. And indeed, this is what happened. There's a beautiful blurb here that you can read from Torin. And what happened to Earth? When the Free Fleet arrived, it was simply gone, not merely invisible. Did the Darren technology work as intended? Did something go wrong? We do not know. So there you have it. Earth just kind of disappeared, and we don't know where it went to. So this remains one of the, I'd say, core mysteries in the Starmourn lore. What happened to Earth? Yes, the Free Fleet then proceeded to wipe out the colonies. They were colonizing the solar system by this point, Earth was. And they decided that a fateful decision to kidnap 1,600 humans off a penal mining colony on Callisto. So all humans in the Starmourn sector are descended from these 1,600 humans, prisoners, of course. And fittingly, these prisoners would then go on to found Scatterhome. And Scatterhome is sort of the now quote-unquote homeworld of the humans in the Starmourn sector, and it is where most humans live. For some reason, humans are the most popular race among player characters. I have no idea why. I'd never play humans in like any RPG just because I don't know, whatever. But I mean, I think it's like more than half the game are humans for one reason or another. And now there's an interesting note. There's not much to say about the lore of humans. Obviously, we know a lot about what it's like to be a human. There's just this one note here about the media from Earth. So not very much was saved. So even though most ardent viewers of these movies don't have enough material to really learn to speak 20th century English, which was very different from English in 2274 when the Free Fleet took the prisoners. So this is a little funny. There's no surviving Earth media from what is the future from our current time, but there are some movies and art and stuff from things we recognize. So like Demolition Man, Top Gun, Titanic, Apocalypse Now, Terminator 2, and Alien are all still floating around in the Starmourn sector. So you can watch them in character if you really want to. And I think people have done screenings of some of these. And I mean, that's just hilarious. You're watching, I can imagine, a bunch of Scatterhomians, which is canon apparently, getting together in Gravity or whatever, and deciding to, throw on Titanic and maybe mimicking Jack and Rose doing the King of the World scene or whatever. That I mean, come on, what's not to love? Okay, that's everything for humans, and that's everything for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in to this race summary video. Next episode is going to be a class summary, so we're going to look at the classes and we're going to talk about the lore. We are not going to talk much about the mechanics of the class. That will come in future videos. So thanks again for today, and see you in the sector.